Welcome, 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 everyone, to Two Guys in Hockey Talk. My name is Pawel with my wonderful, but somehow in the dark, ready for Halloween co-host, Evan. Evan, how you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing great. I'm a little in the dark. Literally, my whole day has been in the dark, in a lot of figurative ways. But this is the best light I can get. In fact, I'm on the side of the road heading to Red Deer. I'm like 15 kilometers out. I can't remember my confirmation booking for my room. I have no idea. I've called a bunch of hotels, checked in. I got 2 nights here, and I like to say I'm scouting. I'm not even scouting. At least that would have made a little bit more sense. This is just to make pure money so I can do this show, buddy.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show and making the time because we are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You guys can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. You can get us on Twitter/X at Renaerts or myself at Pawel or hockey_2. See, Pawel is in my mind, my own name. So we've got a lot to cover today, Evan, because there's been quite a bit in the happening around the league. So I think we can get started with kind of Brad Marchand and his coming home party. So there was a standing ovation at TD Gardens with his return, where they played the Florida Panthers. Florida ended up coming out on top after that miraculous toe drag and essentially coming on and scoring, passing it up to, I think it was Lukanen or Ristolainen. Which one was it? One of the two guys, the center there for Florida. And just wanted to get your thoughts on his kind of tribute video and him being emotional.
Yeah, I mean, how can Brad not be emotional? This guy.
Lundell. Sorry, my apologies. Lundell.
Lundell. Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about Brad. I was gonna say I didn't see Brad emotional. I saw him. It was a great night, but yeah, Lundell. So who? Sorry, who was emotional? Maybe I don't even know who we're talking about.
No, I meant the pass earlier. I was trying to remember the player name for that fed the pass for the assist to Lundell to score the. I think it was either the game-winning goal or the time-winning goal.
Who was emotional?
Brad Marchand was.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't see the emotion piece, so I didn't see that. I just
it was teary-eyed, very intense. Yeah.
Yeah, I caught earlier. I've been kind of out of the loop this whole week, so I'm just catching pieces and highlights and watching on P. So I actually didn't catch that, but it would make so much sense. Just as a Boston Bruins fan, even our buddy over there, he would tell you that Kyle Edwards, right? He would just tell you that, Brad was their bread and butter. I know everyone loves Passy. But Brad stirred that pot, man. Brad, like in every way, not only trouble, but he also stirred it like with parties and connections. I mean, he truly was a leader there inside out. And so, it was nice. I think he wishes they would have just let him stay. That was the key. But yeah, hey, Brad, I'm glad you got a chance to go back and they gave you a great tribute.
100%. And Lost Trucker says Pause is doing his best to confuse co-hosts since he's in the dark because she's saying you seem to be lost. Rev is lost. We agree.
Yeah, I call me the Lost Trucker with a 3/4 ton.
What's it called? Who's the arena that turned the lights off for you because they didn't want you practicing or playing in there?
So hey, that was the old Boston Gardens. Hang on, let me get this right. 1988, didn't the lights go out in the Stanley Cup final between the Edmonton Oilers and the Boston Bruins?
It has, but more recently in the last few months, both this season and last season, I believe this season Chicago was playing someone, I want to say St. Louis, and the lights went out. So that was, what's it called? A little bit of a funny go of it because you think like, oh, hey, what's it called? You would have an equipment manager managing or whoever's watching monitoring the facility would have it going on, but it does go out from time to time. So of course there's a whistle blown and plays are dead. So great return for him. I mean, there was a lot of conversation when he stepped up to the podium about questions about his time in Boston for Brad Marchand. He talked about how both sides were kind of stubborn, emotional, and they couldn't come to an agreement. And you wonder now if Boston could have used a captain like that
Yeah.
to stick on and what that difference is. And good for him for heading over to Florida because it was a golden ticket to end up at the Stanley Cup final and winning. But of course, he's got a family, Evan, and unless you're a younger player who's just up and coming, it's hard to leave your family. It's hard to uproot your family, especially if they're in school and things like that. And he signs his 6-year, $5+ million contract with Florida. Nobody cares about what the fourth, fifth, or even sixth year of that contract looks like. It's right now. They're trying to three-peat. They're trying to continue on. But I wanted to get your thoughts because there's been a lot of rumblings, and we'll get into the 3 stars of some of the teams. But there seems to be some kind of disparity in the team, and we talked about it last week about how some teams are starting off to slow starts. We're coming up on 10 games in. Oftentimes, Brian Book, as people may know, the former GM of the Vancouver Canucks and the Toronto Maple Leafs, he talked about how by Thanksgiving, if you're in the playoff hunt, or even 4 points out of a playoff hunt, you'll get in. But there's a lot of teams that are kind of panicking, and beyond the top 3 and bottom 3, and I believe the top 3 are Vegas, Colorado, and maybe Winnipeg, and the bottom are Calgary, San Jose, and a few others. And so you wonder to yourself, Evan, should there be panic for teams like Florida who aren't exactly off to the best start, right? I believe they're 4-3-0 right now. So your thoughts on their kind of start? Is it just they're tired after 3 cup finals in a row, or is it something more?
Yeah. Well, I mean, why don't we include the Stanley Cup finalists also, the Edmonton Oilers? Another slow start for the 3rd year in a row, last 2 years in the finals. What is it? I think there's something about veteran teams. It's just like they're going through the motions. I know a little later on you're going to be talking about some rookies that are doing well, and I'll throw in my opinion later on about why. But part of this is I think when you got so many veterans, you'll notice it's actually the rookies that are the guys that are actually feeling like they have all the momentum, all the excitement. They're giving it like it's the Stanley Cup finals already. And all these other players take a while to seem to build chemistry, to get their plays. Connor McDavid is looked like, basically an average player this year. After signing that contract for the next 2, it looks like this year he might not even earn it if you said, do you just take the first amount of games? It looks like Florida will be a wild card team after the first few games. People got to relax, give them 15 games in, see where they're at. If they're below 500, start worrying. But, right now, I think don't worry too much about the standings. Don't worry too much about your teams that have a lot of veterans. But if you have a lot of younger guys, Pawel, I would be worried right now.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I think 10 games in, you can kind of make an assessment of what your team is. I do feel for the Florida Panthers, given that they're out with Barkov. Kachuk's not going to be there for a little bit. And they recently lost Kulikov. He was a big staple of their back end, even though he played probably the bottom 6 minutes. He's the 3rd pairing guy. But again, you're getting a full season of Seth Jones, which is good. Aaron Ekblad's going into a contract season. What's that going to look like? Bobrovsky, although he's getting older, another contract season. Or did Ekblad sign?
What's that?
Did Aaron Ekblad sign, or is he in a contract here?
No. He
signed. Sorry, that was Bobrovsky.
All 3.
I think most of the guys are locked up. See, there's so many contracts to remember. We appreciate our partners at Puckpedia who can give us the answers right away. But Bobrovsky in a contract here, although he's getting up there in age, you wonder what's going to happen. I wanted to jump over a little bit, still in the Atlantic, but to the Toronto Maple Leafs, because besides the fact that the city is in pandemonium with Blue Jays going to the World Series, so congrats to them facing off with the LA Dodgers. It's been an excellent baseball postseason. I wanted to know, the team hasn't really figured out its stride. And we talked a bit this year about what that team's going to look like without Marner. And it's starting to show its cracks because they can't really get their lineup set up. Now, a couple days ago when the team played Seattle, I believe it was last weekend, Stolarz got run into, and it looks like nobody reacted. There wasn't much of a kerfuffle about it. And so he came out and made some very pointed comments about the team and how, including William Nylander, didn't pinch at the end. You've got Matthews, who's not playing as healthy as he may look, as the 69 goal scorer that he should be. And they're kind of juggling the line. The guys that they brought on, Nicholas Waugh, Dakota Joshua, Machelli, who's been brought in over from Utah, like they don't seem to be clicking. And is that just an early thing, or are we seeing a bit of a regression with the Maple Leafs? And what does that look like? And now they're out with Tanev this weekend after that. I believe it was that hit or block that he did. So versus the New Jersey Devil. Your thoughts on Toronto? What's going to happen there?
I forget what you had felt. I know I had said right away that there was no replacement for Marner. People were talking about we're going to get 3-4 players and pay them the money that Marner would get. You don't win cups that way. And, people will say, well, you don't win cups with Marner too. It's just like, and again, I'm going to come back and say, guys, why do you think Marner's the problem when he had the most points per game in the playoffs? Yes, he made mistakes and they were quite well known, but Matthews isn't stepping up. I don't see Nylander stepping up. Tavares wasn't stepping up as far as better than. In fact, the only one that had a little bit less in the playoffs was Tavares, but at least he had some goals. So I said it from the beginning. They got guys. They were relying on Matthew Knies as this superstar, which is just like, are you guys crazy? I mean, he's going to be a complimentary player at some point, but he's way too new in there to have enough a track record to show what he's going to produce. And they're essentially playing third-line guys as top six. And so how are you going to win with that?
Well, I mean, that comes down to coaching, I think. And I know that Stolar's indicated you got to get the most out of your guys. You got to be able to motivate them, right?
Yeah, but you can't motivate a guy who doesn't have the skill to be in the top six. You can get him up a few
you have an opportunity to elevate your game, and you've seen it in other, teams and other organizations where it's the next man up. Who's stepping up to take over that place, even for the time being? You got to be able to do it. You got to have depth in your organization.
I guess that's two separate pieces, though. I feel that the first piece is, are you talking about just for a few games, or are we talking for the season? I didn't like what they looked like.
Well, it's a little bit of both, right?
To me, there was no step up. I think they're performing exactly what we thought, or at least I thought that they were, and many other people. So I think it's wrong to have too high of expectations on these other guys. But you are right. If they would step up, they're going to have a chance. But, for example, Matthew Knies has to step up if he's going to want to actually stick around long. Otherwise, he's going to be the next Robertson.
Yep. And I think Robertson's time is close to coming up. I know he's been in trade rumors for a long time.
Yeah.
And good for him, because he comes in, he does his work, he works out, he prepares mentally, he gets ready for the game, and he does his best. And he does have a good finish. He's not his brother, but he could still really compete. I just think that Toronto's really worried that he will go somewhere else and have success. And a team I look at potentially him moving to is like a Chicago, is like a San Jose. And the reason I first said Chicago is because Bedard's having a good year so far. He's really stepped it up. Chicago looks like they're taking that next step. Now, I'm not saying they're a playoff contender, but they're moving in the right direction. And I really believe that if you can get somebody in that top 9 or top 6 for Bedard to kind of help him finish, and that Robertson can put the puck in the net, and those two teams have been trading partners in the past, you can make it work. So it'll be interesting to see, because the team really has to pick it up. There's a lot on the line, especially given that it's kind of funny, Evan, to think that they're looking, and Brad Treliving has made it indicated, and Keith Pelly, the owner of MLSC, partial owner, said that he's allowed the team to look for a top 6 winger. Well, newsflash, guys, you had a top 6 winger and you got him out of the room. And I get it. He's not there anymore. He's having a great success with Vegas. But I got to tell you, Evan, it's funny that, like, hey, we need an elite top 6 winger that can make plays and perform. Well, you just got rid of 100 points. You ran him out of town because you weren't happy with his playoff performance. So what do you do?
Can I just say?
Go ahead.
Can I just say Roslovic was one of the guys that they were wanting. They didn't like the price range. And then they were also one of the ones that did decide to track back, and they were one of the ones that he just decided, even though there was more money, not as much as he wanted, there were more money, but then he chose to take less and go to Edmonton. Obviously, because he wants to build his resume, right? I mean, that's the whole
100%.
thing to and potentially go for a cup, even if it's a one-off year, which is all I actually think it'll end up being.
100%. So now getting into the 3 stars of the week, because it's been kind of a busy week for a lot of NHL games.
Yeah.
We look at another team out in the Atlantic, and Dylan Larkin is solidly putting an
Well
excellent
done.
year so far this year for the Detroit Red Wings. Now they're, I think, tied for first with Montreal, who is another, had another successful start to the season. And again, Evan, we talk about the importance of strong starts. Winnipeg had a strong start last year, and they went undefeated for a while. And the reason they were able to coast through and win the President's Trophy last year is because they did so well. Now, when you falter come December, January, February, where there's a bit of a lull in the, in the, what's it called, in the season, and you don't feel like, you're up to the task. Well, those early points that you gained, whether in overtime, even 1 or 2, it helps in the long run. So your thoughts on Dylan Larkin, as well as Jack Eichel and Scotch Wedgwood being named 3 stars of the week?
I'm Wedgwood definitely. What a great week for him. And Dylan Larkin, I remember when he got drafted, I was one of the I had him ranked there, but I was one of the naysayers that did not think that he might have what it takes to really be a superstar. I really didn't. I know a lot of people did, and good on them, but there was just things to his game. I thought I saw some lack of work ethic in his game. Obviously, it was way I saw him skate, move, but I mean, his IQ on the ice, what he's able to do is amazing. So good for him. I appreciate that, what he's given and his love and passion for Detroit. So I'm excited actually for Detroit. I really hope this is the year. The wild card, however, I don't think they're ready yet. But man, hey, Michael Devellano, head scout U.S. for the Alfred Silvertips, one of our regular guests that comes on. We might have to get him on later this year and ask him what he thinks about the Detroit Red Wings, because I know he loves that team. That's one of the teams he loves to follow. So, but good on Dylan, and I'm glad to see that Detroit's really looking good. Considering, let's just hope though they don't lose the traction in the next couple of weeks
100%.
here.
And lulls do happen in the season. Losing streaks do happen. Hopefully, it's not major. But if you recall, Evan, game 1 when they laid that goose egg, Todd McLellan came out and ripped the team. He gave it to them. He said, "You know what? This is not good enough." And a lot of people said, "Whoa, pump the brakes. You can only do that so many times as a coach." Well, he did it at the right time because he knows what this team is capable of, and he's not starting from game 1, Evan. He's starting from last season when he saw what this team was potential of, the run they had, and then the flop that they had. I think it was January, February, where they were in the hunt, and then they just fell out of it for whatever reason. And let's talk about a lot of those kids that Eiserman took a pamphlet on, and really they have really paid off. So good for Detroit, because I think that they're really coming together, and it looks like they have some excess defensemen. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a move made or two by Eiserman in the coming weeks here. So we'll report on that when we're coming up here. Now, I want to move over to the Metro, because I know the poster boy, the gentleman that could be on Mount Rushmore, Sidney Crosby, he continues to shine, Evan. I mean, Pittsburgh was supposed to be bottom of the barrel. They were supposed to be the only team that every media outlet had saying, hey, they're going to be competing for Gavin McKenna. Well, they're 5-2-0 right now, Evan. Right? And they're on fire. Like, they are just right. And you see Crosby playing, he is happy. And he recently scored his 17th career goal. Now, that's insane.
700th. I know you meant 700th, but I think you said 17th.
Sorry, my apologies. 700. And he is an all-time points leader now, beating out the legendary Mario Lemieux. What's already been said has been said, but what more can we add to this milestone of a hell of a career and a resume for one of the best in the game?
Top 5, man. Top 5 all-time. Right now he's top 5. If he can stick around another couple years and still go and be at least a point per game and good defensively and a leader, maybe go out with another gold medal or even a silver medal, man. That would still be an amazing, astounding, incredible. And he is. I mean, he is on my top five Mount Rushmore. I believe he's a better leader than Marc Messier was. I know everyone calls out Marc Messier for the leadership award. I still think it's ridiculous that he only won it once in his career. I mean, he should have won that thing 5, 6 times. I feel like it's a gentleman's agreement that we find a new leader every year to make them feel happy, kind of like they're playing kids' sports. Um, but yeah, man, Crosby, and can I just mention what about his longtime superstar line mate? Malkin is playing like a superstar this year. It's like he's rejuvenated, and we hear all this talk that this could be his last year in Pittsburgh, potentially going to the KHL, or maybe if they weren't doing well, that they would end up, ask for a trade to go somewhere else. I know the rumor was, by the way, let me just come to this, and you can bring me back to the Pittsburgh thing.
For sure.
Malkin. So a lot of people think Barkov is done. He won't be back. I have been given some certainties from players, former pro players who have actually gone through that injury. They feel he'll be back about a month or 2 months before the playoffs and then have some games in place. But that means even if he gets back only for a week before the playoffs, they cannot go grab a guy like Malkin and put
Yeah.
him in for that salary
Yeah.
because of the new changes.
Yeah. 100%. So back to Crosby, as you wanted to indicate.
Yeah, so Crosby, man, what I love? No matter, he's probably one of the few players who plays better with guys who are not superstars. I mean, how many players? He made Colby Armstrong. He made Chris Kunitz. Kunitz got on an Olympic team just
Yeah.
because of who he played with. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? If Zach Hyman gets back in time, I'm a little worried Zach might be a little too late, but Zach Hyman might have
Well, and
gone
if
on
he
to.
re-aggravates his injury, right? Like you don't want to see that as well,
Yeah.
right? I know it
Well,
was an awkward risk.
I think he would have had he started the year and had a great start. I
Yeah.
think because he's with McDavid, that could have been a potential. I think it's now out of the question. But coming back to Crosby, yeah, he makes players better all the time. Players who are average players, players who could go other places, they're good. But what he teaches them makes them like really good players.
And I will say hi to Kyle, who's tuning in. Hey, Kyle, hope you're doing well. The Boston Bruins are going, although they're 3-4-0,
Hey,
but
hey
it's been
dude,
good so far. I'm sure he's enjoying
Shaka.
it. I agree, and I gotta say, Evan, because you kind of alluded to it with Hyman, and I think you talk about the impact McDavid and Draisaitl have that team, 100%. But you see that heart now without Corey Perry there in Edmonton, how much they miss Zach Hyman. He really drives not only that top power play unit, but just the guys in the room. He's emotional. You know what he saw with the Amazon series, with him making the comments that they'll be back next year, as of this past year in the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
he's a guy that everyone loves. He battles. He works hard. He's your coach's dream player, right? He does all the right little things, and he knows exactly what's been happening in terms of his impact. So I hope to see him back sooner. But go ahead.
Hey, so I think the right name is right. So, guys, I've just been following a little bit recently, just because sometimes we just don't have time to follow everyone. Justin Brazu.
Listen, Brazo.
Yeah, I mean that line is crazy, but keep your eye on him. I feel like he's been a sleeper, and he could be the story maker. If Pittsburgh's going to make a playoff run this year, it's because of him. The way he clears space, gets in front of the net, he's making it easy for Malkin out there when he's playing. So, hey, good for Justin. But again, Pittsburgh is incredible. And Kindle, that's like, I mean, he's a rookie. He's
Yeah.
playing right now, and he's playing like lights out the way he's out there. I mean, they're being careful. They're protecting him out there in his time and his ice. But another player, and they have, I think, I'm trying to remember the name. Oh, the rookie. Was it Oliver Moore? They have another player. They sent him back this year. Trying to remember. So if someone's out there, hey, Jordan, if you're listening, even if it's later on, you can put it in the comment. I'm sure you know, man. Who did they draft last year that they wanted to bring in? But anyway, yeah. So I will say
Ben
Again, just might
Kendall?
be a little too early though. Give them 15 games. Let's see where they're at after 15 games. How do they do these next games into like how many they got right now? They got 7 games?
Jordan says Olin Pickering.
No, no,
Ben
no.
Kendall?
What's that?
Ben Kendall?
No, not Ben Kindle. They got him later on in the
Bill
first round.
Zonin?
Zonin, that's it. That's it. That's it. Bill Zonin.
Okay.
Yes. He had a really good camp. Really good camp. So yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it. But yeah,
Jade,
so I got to appreciate it. But let's see what they do. Whether or not these next games do they go back to a 500, 550 record, or are they going to continue this roll? Because if they get enough room up front, they could slip into a wild card if they just play like 550 hockey the rest of the way,
yeah.
right?
And Lost Trucker says Jamie Basco, who was on our show last week, Philadelphia Flyers beat writer, must be satisfied with the Flyers, but still unhappy with Tocchet and Matvei Michkov's development. Any quick thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I haven't asked Jamie because I don't want to put him on the spot. So I didn't get a chance this week. I'm thinking of asking someone else I know out that way to get their thoughts and to hear if there's a little bit of rumblings between Mishkov's feelings right now. I don't think Mishkov is looking happy with the way he's being deployed and the way he's being used with Tocchet. I know I didn't like this hire in the beginning. I feel like he's Torts number 2 with just a younger Torts. That's kind of what I feel. And but I mean, I hope he is a good pick because they need to start winning down there, right, Key?
100%. And I wanted to get to one other team with a great rookie who was my pick for the Calder this year, Mr. Matthew Schaefer. He has been unreal. He is making a great impact, and he is getting the trust of Patrick Waugh, the legendary Patrick Waugh, to playing around 20 plus minutes a night. Evan, let me just go through this. Versus San Jose, he played 22-34. Versus Ottawa, he played 22-33. Versus Edmonton, of course, you got the big guns, 17-38. But versus Winnipeg, one of the best elite teams, 26 minutes and 35 seconds. And before that, Washington, 26 minutes. This is an 18-year-old who was injured and didn't play more than, 35, 36 games last season in what's it called? In juniors. Like, he is unreal, and he is still performing. He's got 2 goals and a few assists already put up, 5, I believe. Like, can you say a better impact player for a team that we didn't think was going to do much this year? But what a gem has fallen for the New York Islanders. What are your thoughts on him so far?
Interesting enough, this is about deployment because he's being trusted. This is where I wanted to come back to when you're talking early season. I think people are getting really excited about seeing Schaefer saying, he's a stud. He's right there with the Victor Hedmans, or he's a bigger Lane Hudson, or he's the next Cale Makar. He might be, but I think what we all got to recognize again is right now, no one gives a crap about the Islanders when they play them, and they're not specializing against Matthew Schaefer. They don't know his game. They don't know how he plays. He's quick. He's fast. You talk about minutes. He played 17 games plus a game and a half for Team Canada last year. He's got less than 20 games in over a year and a half. He has lots of energy. He's in shape, so that's not an issue for his cardio. But his body has not been worn down. And so playing those minutes, but as the season wears on, if they're keeping him, which I think they look like they are, I thought they were going to send him back and give themselves a little more rebuild time. Looks like that's not going to happen. He's found his spot, and good for him. I always felt like he'd be a good player. But as opposed to Misa's not being deployed like that. It's a slow build. They're not giving him play. He's getting sweet power play time right now. And again, some of the teams that he's playing against, they're not focusing in on him. I think that's going to change when you get to like the 30 game mark, and I think he's going to start slowing down, and they're going to have to be careful with the ice minutes. But man, hats off to him. I just tell people, don't think this is going to continue all season long. I just can't imagine that.
So Jordan asks, do you put him as an extra on Canada? And before I let you answer, if I'm Matthew Darsh and Patrick Waugh, I'm saying yes. I am pushing for this, not only because what's it called, the experience. Like he may not play, but the experience of being around the legends that are going to be on that team, the elite talent, that rubs off on players, right? And I know we can have this debate whether you'd invite even Connor Bedard or Macklin Celebrini. I think you give him an opportunity to come just to see, just to experience it. Now I know there's logistics and stuff like that, but I would put him so far as on the roster as a backup, as like that ninth forward, because of the amount of talent we have. Because when you look at what happened at Four Nations, you kind of got your template of your back end. Now, barring an injury or something like with Pietrangelo and what happened with him, which we understand now more of, really, like, your back end is set, and maybe up front you change one or two things, right? Given the age or if somebody's not able to play, and there's more room for it. But I really believe that they should be able to, invite it. But your thoughts?
Well, so here's something interesting to talk is you don't take Evan Bouchard because he's a power play specialist and you already have Cale Makar.
Yeah.
So why would you take a power play specialist in Matthew Schaefer? Because right now, that's where he's able to line up and walk those lines and do the same thing. I don't think you take a player if you're not planning on playing him just to get him experience in the next 4 years or in the next 8 years. They just don't do that. I like the concept, but that's generally not how they run the Olympic team. That's more of a World Junior thing that they would do for players to build them in for Team Canada. But I mean, let's face it, if he kept up what he's doing, and let's just say we're at the end of November, so in the next 4 weeks, we're dealing with, he's a zero point 0.8 per game player, still logging 20 plus minutes a game, looking good, they're going to look at how he's done physically, even though I know it's the Olympics, and they're going to look at also his mistakes. How many mistakes is he making out on the ice? They're going to look at his analytics with it. So would I put him on the team? They got a lot of good players. I don't know if they need a lot of back end moving players like Schaefer can do. I'd be tempted, but unless he performs like he is right now, and when's the selection? I think it's early December. Was when they're making their final decision. So I would wait right up to the last week before I made the final decision on that spot, I think, though. Yeah.
All right. And before we move over to Around the Rink with some news from there, Jordan asks, start, bench, cut. Do you start, bench, or cut Bedard, Celebrini, or Schaefer? Now, it looks almost spelled like Stauffer, like Bob Stauffer, the local Edmonton play-by-play. So I would say you start Bob Stauffer if you can. The man would stop everything. But I'll let you answer in just a second. But I would probably go start Celebrini, bench Bedard, and cut Schaefer, only because of experience. And I like what Celebrini has been able to bring so far, and I've liked his his game. Bedard is working up there, but that would be my answer. Do you have a response there?
Oh boy. Okay, so this year, I'm gonna actually play. I'm gonna start Bedard. I'm gonna bench. I'm gonna bench Schaefer. Okay. Based on what we just talked about, and then I'm going to cut Macklin Celebrini. I'm not happy with Celebrini's start this season, so, I mean, that's such a small sample size, but, hey, we're playing the game, so let's do it, dude.
It's fun. And just so you know, Evan, he was recently with Will Smith in, I believe, New York City, and they were filmed by some famous TikToker, and it's a great video if you haven't seen it. It's on X, and she kind of asked some questions. It's a heartfelt, good kind of feel, and hockey needs more of that because you get to see kind of a little bit of the world of hockey that, you talk about wanting these guys to have personality. Well, these guys are trying to have, of course, being professional, but it was a fun little interview. But around that, go ahead.
Let me just say, I think San Jose this year, after I've watched many of their games already and watching just the overall, I like the team. I really do. I like what they're building. but they are so far away from being competitive. I think they're based on what's happening, they're definitely a bottom 2-3 team this year again. And definitely I see them getting the first or the second overall pick, depending on the draft.
For sure. And, you know, it was funny comments before we get into it because there's so much with San Jose. Maybe Max Miller can comment on this about the fact that the coach said he'd give up one of his children for a win, which I thought was tongue in cheek, but I understand that that's how passionate these guys are about winning. So,
yeah.
Nonetheless, here's Around the Rink. So, Around the Rink is brought to you by Flow Hockey, one of our great sponsors who have been partners with us. Evan, there's quite a bit of news happening around the rink, so I'm going to get into it first, and I wanted to get your immediate thoughts because the Vancouver team and the Seattle team have released their jerseys for the PWHL, and I wanted to get your thoughts on what you're thinking of these jerseys.
I like them. I haven't saw it. Did that come out today?
Yeah, in the last little bit here, in the last 24 hours, it's come out. So I've really enjoyed looking at it. So it looks like those are the two expansion teams coming in. There's going to be the Battle of the Pacific there, like we have in the NHL, which is great. Again, Seattle is a big sports town, as is Vancouver. Kudos to them.
Yeah.
I like the colors. My only gripe, and I know it'll come, but again, it's just maybe I'm just too overly excited, is getting some kind of logo. I want to see logos. I loved what the Mammoth did with their logo on the ice. I love what they did on their jersey. And I love seeing the cool designs of the logo, right?
Well, is there going to be no name for these teams like everybody else? So everyone will have
this is reliable, Lost Trucker. This is not AI. This is, you can go on the PWHL website. This is what they found. Sorry, you go ahead, Evan.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering, are they not going actually with the team name for the first year like the others?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like that. Like what kind of? This is Mickey Mouse. Don't add the team if they don't have time to build the logo. I get it when you started the whole thing because you were starting so quick, but then don't start so quick. Give these guys one more year to build. I feel like this is so Mickey Mouse. That's not how you build. I don't like it.
Well, it will be interesting to see, but you guys can let us know your thoughts about this. And Jordan says boring and terrible marketing. I think they're missing the boat. They need something to get people excited from coast to coast, essentially. Like how do you not get them going?
I like the colors though. I like the color mixtures. I do think that those color mixtures in the jerseys will look good. It's just that like right now, I almost wonder too sometimes if this is all about money and marketing and to keep the interest going. Where, hey, we do, because now they watched Utah, right? Take one full season, play in whatever, and then work their way up, and they build and take longer and make sure the city gets a part of it. I don't like it as a fan, but.
Well, Jordan says it looks like Vancouver Islanders. Lost Trucker totally agrees with Rev and JR. Yeah. And speaking of women's ice hockey, there was the World's Ice Hockey Weekend last weekend through the WIHF. That was just hosted October, I believe, 17th to the 19th. So it was a great tournament to kind of grow the game and just kind of get more women active in the role, especially in markets and places that isn't very common or well known for hockey. So good on the IHF for continuing to host this, continue to promote it from that grassroots movements because you want to get people excited. And this is how you build fan bases. So again, the more of these tournaments that you have, the better it is for your league. So great on that. And in some other news, it sounds like the Chilliwack's WHL term is going to be pushed back to one season. So I don't know if you heard about this, but there was a report released recently by Steve Ewan of the province. It sounds like their inaugural season will be moved to 2027-28 because they're still negotiating with a potential ownership group. And they want more time to set up the franchise, right? They were trying to bring a team back there for the first time in over a decade. And they want to play there in what's now known as the Chilliwack Coliseum, which I've been to. It's really nice for the area. They were the team that moved in 2011 to Victoria and became the Victoria Royals, who I've seen numerous times with family. My wife's from that area. So it's just an interesting thing to go of it. Any thoughts there on that move?
I think that's a wise move to give them some time. We've reported previously, so this is great catch there on that report there, Pavel. I didn't know that, but it actually is. It doesn't surprise me because they're dealing with the ownership. They made this decision, so the city wanted this. They're the ones that put the proposal, but they didn't have ownership. They need ownership. It was kind of a silly thing that this even got put out there. I felt like it was forcing their hand. And I even wonder who. I know this is something Lost Trucker has talked about. Lost Trucker's in Chilliwack, as well as taking in games out there too. So, yeah, I'd be interested, Lost Trucker, if you've heard any actual names being released or anything around the Chilliwack area. And even if so, who has the money in that area? Because we know the city can't take this on as a community-owned team. There's just way too much money. And by the way, the ticket prices were already higher there. That's one thing that she had talked about last year when she was even at the finals there, because they were in the final. But what are they going to charge? How are they going to pay this money back? It's a lot of money, as we've talked about in the past, to get into the WHL. So
For
this will be
sure.
interesting. Wonder how much money they've already invested with the WHL to even have a chance to be where they are right now. So this isn't over. It's in getting a team until it's over and it's announced.
For sure. And one other prospect to keep an eye on is Alexander Zarkovsky, who I believe is a Montreal Canadiens prospect in the KHL from round 2 this past year. He's a right winger. A lot of people are making the comparisons to Demidov, but what it's been kind of indicated is that he's having a bit of a slow start. He is offensively dynamic and he has that opportunity. But you guys got to remember that the KHL is not a development league. It's its own league that wants to perform. So
Yeah.
his goal is to kind of grow his own game and his own maturity on his own. Now, in 9 games for the UFA Salavet ULEVE, he's got 3 goals and 5 assists and 8 points. So really good, almost a point per game guy. And he's
Yeah.
+1. And he is young. He's 18, but he still has a little bit of upside. So don't expect Montreal to bring him over any other time, anytime soon. Do you have any thoughts on Mr. Zarkovsky?
Well,
Zarovsky?
I was just thinking Montreal bringing people over. It's like if you're the Montreal fan, they want everybody over now. Let's get them. Let's make this happen. But yeah, I think the fans will like it. Just every year have another guy, another 2 people coming in, another trade as they're coming in. So I think it would be wise even to have this year and one more year after this for just development time, right?
100%. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the one thing I would say is that some markets are able to navigate in the KHL a little bit better than others. And you
Yeah.
look at the Flyers organization; they had that success for a very long time, and now it seems Montreal seems to be finding a lot of these guys in Russia. And we talked about this, Evan, in several episodes in previous years of the podcast. The impact with everything happened geopolitically. Would that impact players being selected and taken in the draft from Russia, given that we didn't even know if they'd be able to come over, given some of the things going on, right? Let alone having them with the mandatory military service. But it looks like, it hasn't really deterred some teams like the Montreal Canadiens from picking people. So, and Lost Trucker mentions not yet, have heard names, but only one ownership left is running. So that's in terms of the Chilliwack. We'll see what happens there. We'll be here to report it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Around the Rink. All right, I want to get into a few little things in the NHL that have just been kind of transpiring, and then we'll wrap it up. It sounds like the NHL is canceling the Olympic send-off, quote-unquote, all-star game that was going to take place in Long Island next year. This is because the Olympics are happening. They're trying to send people off. It hasn't really bode well for I believe it was the mayor New York Governor Kathy Hochul. She wasn't really happy because people have to realize it's not about the players not wanting to go. It's about sponsorships. Sponsors want to be there with their families to promote the game, to meet the players, to kind of mingle and to show off their businesses and things like that. And they weren't going to play anything because that was canceled last year with the Four Nations, and they will bring it back. But it sounds like they're just pausing it so that they cancel next year, but they're going to bring it back. But essentially, they're ending it for next year because they know players have to be prepared mentally, get over to Milan, play in Italy.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was reported recently, and it kind of spooked me, and it was reported that the ice in Milan isn't going to be ready, or if it is, it's just going to be on the day of, which, Evan, I'm not a fan of. It's a little bit shorter ice. But you're telling me that you're sending the best athletes from the NHL and they could potentially be injured or something could go wrong because you can't prepare ice. Now, I get weather's a thing, but you got pros. The fact that the Olympic Committee won't ask the NHL to intervene and kind of help up, I'm sure Gary Bettman is fuming at that. Any quick thoughts on the ice conditions there or the lack of?
And the situation actually is the actual arena will not be finished and built, is what they were worried about, to be ready in time. So they're still finishing off some of the building with some of the stuff. So now the ice itself takes longer because you got to wait till the certain points. So they hope to be ready for day one. If not, they'll be ready a little bit while in. But I'm trying to remember which Olympics, and if someone's out there, you can correct me. Was it Turin? I'm trying to remember. There was one of them where they had to play in another arena because the arena was not ready. This is not an NHL event. They will not bring the NHL into it. So it's beyond Gary Bettman as the commissioner of the NHL, beyond anything he can comment or deal with other than this is the reasons why they're frustrated and sending best on best. And that's why they want to provide an alternative, which is NHLPA, right? Approved with it. So the arena that they would be in would be like a small 7,000 rink. But you know what this is about, Pawel? This is about contract dollars for TV. Everything about Olympics is not, in fact, if you think about what are in the Winter Olympics, what is the number one downhill, the sport? It's downhill skiing, right? I mean, hockey, as much as North America like to think, especially Canada, it's one of the top and the best. That's in our opinion, but it's not in TV numbers. It's not in dollars and contracts. And so for them, they don't care how many people are in the arena. Obviously, when it was in Vancouver and Salt Lake, that arena is packed. But again, they're not about that. And so they don't care the same way that you and I and all the hockey fans do. So if they have 7,000, they'll just make it look like a really great arena with their cameras and like it's a packed arena and sold out every night. They're not worried about that part of the money. So let's hope they have it ready to go. The women start first. So it may only be the women that are affected and have to play in this smaller arena that's a few hours away.
So it indicated that in 1976, the Montreal Olympics, there was a problem with some of the stadiums not being finished due to corruption issues and theft plaguing the project. So it wasn't completed, including the iconic roof, which wasn't functional, as well as in Athens in 2004, where numerous venues were not ready. And it kind of raised the concern of whether Athens was ready to host again. And so it just seemed like it was completely disorganized. The games did proceed, but it just wasn't up to standard. And then historically, I mean, of course, 1920s, which in Antwerp, they happened, but that was prior to or post World War One, at a time where, it wasn't the biggest need, I guess. Sochi had some facilities that weren't prepared. I remember with
Sochi. Sochi. Yeah.
Sochi had some concerns there. I mean, it goes to show you that like you have to really be prepared for these facilities and you have to utilize them. Jordan says, even though hockey is the most watched sport other than ice skating in the Winter Olympics, I think speed skating's up there as well. And I think a lot of the downhill skiing is very popular in terms of the viewership, right? In terms of ice or winter sports that they have, right?
So actually hockey, I listened to an interview with John Shannon, and he had talked about, because that was his job for many years, and ice hockey is actually not as high up as we would think it would be. It was actually mini. And by the way, it was John Shannon who had actually shared about 2 former Olympics. There was ice hockey arena issues.
100%. And Jordan says, sounds like if you don't have the money to do it, don't make the bid in the first place. I agree, Jordan. And the problem is, I believe that there's been documentations done on this where countries and or cities do still bid. And it doesn't really, the Olympics don't bring in the revenue that people believe it would. It's more the recognition of the town to get a bit more business in. But yeah, there's a great documentary on that that you should check out. Just to get back a little bit to the Islanders quickly, because there was some news that broke in the last little bit that I wanted to quite quickly discuss. Is first off, it sounds like Pierre Engvall, one of their forwards, is out after ankle surgery. So he's kind of a depth piece for that team. Came over, signed that big contract, was put on waivers last year by Lou Lamoriello. But it sounds like the 29-year-old, is just going to be out for a little bit. He only had 8 goals and 7 assists in 62 games with the Islanders last season. Not a big loss in that sense, because you can have that next man up mentality. But again, it's a loss. But that being said, they also made an interesting change with their goalie coach. According to Elliot Friedman, they have relieved goalie coach Piero Greco of his duties and brought in Bridgeport, so their AHL affiliate, Sergei Naumovs, I apologize if I mispronounced that, to coach Sorokin, who coached even Sorokin in the KHL, into the fold. Any quick thoughts there?
That's interesting. No. Sorokin is having. I was told there could be some off-ice stuff happening. I don't know if it's valid, legit rumor or what it is. But just with his overall play, it's not like up to snuff as what people know Sorokin to be. I mean, it's not terrible considering how many goalies out there. But this is interesting, and this might be a good move.
It's an interesting time, I think, because you think like, it's an off-season mode, if the Islanders were really struggling, then that would be a time to potentially, to make that change. But so early in the season and right now, and again, we talked about this earlier, they're not doing very well, but they're not the bottom of the barrel. So
there would have been prior discussions, though, right, Pawel? This would have actually been something going on, and then there was something about his game maybe that we're talking about that would have been he needed some help on the mental part of the game, or some pieces in his game are getting bad habits. They wanted to make a change, and maybe in the end they were still okay with the old coach, but they wanted to make this move at some point, and the other guy was ready to make his move, so they just pay the guy to go away.
100%. And I want to get to 2 more topics, and then we can wrap up. It sounds like after Saturday headlines last week, the Ottawa Senators, who are without their captain Brady Tkachuk, have made an offer to potentially Shane Pinto, 8-year deal. It's in his court with his representatives. Your quick thoughts about that, because that could be a big deal, especially since he's off to a hot start. I think he has 7 or 8 goals so far and 1 assist. I mean, he's producing. He could be, 2C for almost any team. And he's really found his game. And, Ottawa knows what they have, but a lot of their guys are locked up. Do you think this gets done? And do you think that potentially he's signed sooner rather than later?
I do think he signed sooner. There's still timelines out there to get the best out of your contracts. But if he's signing sooner, it's for a long contract, right? It'll be the 7 years, essentially, that it would be. And I'm interested to see what that number hits. Not sure that I'm as big. I think he's had a great start to the year, considering with it. I think his game is maturing, but this will be an interesting piece if they can keep him. And obviously, they feel like he is a part of that core leadership now.
Yeah, and Jordan asked, how much would you pay Pinto? And I think you have to look at all their contracts right now. They've got most of their guys locked up. I'm gonna say you wouldn't pay him more than 8.5, but even that, and I know that's not the new reality. But if you want to do what Montreal does, like, what's that?
7.2 is my guess. 7.2 by 7.
Ooh, do you think he's gonna take that? I mean,
no, I don't think he wants that. I think he wants like 8.5.
Yeah, because I mean, Stutzla, I mean, Thomas Shabbat makes 8 and he's more impactful. Sanderson makes 8.5. Kachuk makes 8.2 and Stutzla makes 8.3. But I mean, these guys have
But it's a
put
new
up,
world, right? It's a new world
yeah,
with all the salary. And so, hey guys, if I'm saying what I think people should make, don't follow me because I don't agree with the numbers going around. It's a new world. But if I hear a number, I'll tell you, follow that. But I didn't hear a number on this. This is just me talking.
for sure. And Zelstra asks about, she says Pinto gets 9.2, which that would be a lot.
So
We
what's
get
Pinto's numbers this year? I don't have it in front of me.
seven goals and 1 assist, I believe, or 8 goals and 1 assist.
Okay, but what are we talking about last year? How many points did
he had in 70 games? He had 21 goals, 16 assists for 37 points.
Yeah, 37. So you can't even score more than 0.5. And now you're going in and you start your first 9-10 games. You're
And
not
that's his
coming.
highest year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said 7.2. But I think he's looking at himself as a goal scorer. They're wanting more. Let me add into, and I know I didn't send this to you to let you know I wanted to mention it, but there's negotiations and some issues going on with Brent Clark. I've talked to. It's one of the few things I've actually got done this week in some conversations with a couple different people kind of in the know, and he's not happy with the way he's being played. We maybe need to get Connor Doyle back on there for beat writer for the hockey writers from Los Angeles, but he's not happy with some of the role that they're giving him or how they're utilizing his time. But the extension, they're trying to extend him. His agent wants more. They're saying, hey, your production is kind of showing here, but he believes it's based on the way that they're playing him. So, but I think that's exactly what's happening with Pinto right now, too.
100%. And Jordan says Dylan Cousins only makes $7 million when he came over after that long-term signing with Buffalo. It makes a very comparable.
I know.
Old signings,
though. Old signings.
Yeah.
Old
and so
signings.
I think again, if your highest guy is making 8.3, 8.4, I don't see what's it called? I don't see Michael Andlauer signing off the owner on more than again, 9 would be pushing it, but maybe you get a little bit less than what's it called as the years go on, right? And maybe it's bonus structured. Who knows what it's going to look like. So it'll be interesting.
And are you buying RFA years too, right?
Yeah. And Lost Trucker says didn't say that is with Ottawa. I mean it's hard to kind of say what that would be. In terms of what you indicated, Lost Trucker, about the arena, and we'll get into Calgary in just a sec. It sounds like there's not been a formal announcement for Ottawa, and there hasn't been a really date announced, but there are land purchasing and planning going on in advance. It's going to be about 11 acres or 4.5 hectares in the LeBreton Flats for this project. Yeah. So it's going to be more than the arena, similar to most places where they're trying to build an entertainment district, right?
Yeah.
But they partnered up with the National Capital Commission, NCC, to build that arena. Yeah. And it's going to be moving somewhere closer. I think it's west of downtown of Ottawa, because Jordan and I went, and it was in Kanata, I think it was, and it was super far out. Yeah, and I was not a fan of the fact that they were so far out. So they're a little bit behind where Calgary is, and we'll get into Calgary in just a second. But I did want to mention that Buffalo has started to slowly show some life. They did win 2 of the games. They are playing tonight versus the Detroit Red Wings. They are up, but it goes to show you that sometimes a kick in the pants helps, and it helped the team wake up. And Jordan indicates for Calgary, Saddle Dome is being torn down in 2027, so 2028 is when the new one comes out. My understanding of the information for Calgary is going to be the Scotiabank Place. It's going to be in the Calgary Rivers District downtown, just north of where the Scotiabank Saddle Dome is, in the Victoria Park neighborhood. It's going to be a 10-acre block, part of, again, that entertainment district. It's supposed to be housing between 18,000 to 18,400. And again, the cost is quite a bit. The deal was already made, and construction, as Jordan indicated, starts the fall of 2027 in time for the 2027-2028 season, which if they're struggling and they get McKenna, that would be a great kind of showcasing of Gavin McKenna, or maybe Landon DuPont falls in their hands. But your thoughts on the week start from the Calgary Flames, as well as the arena plans so far? Because we did have, I believe it was, the name escapes me, the counselor, former counselor who came
Kyle
on.
Davison.
Kyle Davison, yeah.
Yeah, so Kyle Davison. Remember, we told him to run for mayor, and then now he has. Interesting enough with it, when we talked about, because he was the one who had the original setup, and then the new mayor came in and kiboshed everything. They would have had it built for around $500 million, the entire thing, and it still had what they wanted. Yeah, with it. Anyway, we can go back, guys. We'll cover more a little bit later, but definitely this new arena is going to be basically about the same size as what you're looking at Rogers Place in Edmonton. The same concept, same. When I don't mean look the same, but I mean same concept of what they want to have in place, entertainment, as it was mentioned. I mean, Ottawa's going to be kind of around the same idea. They need to find ways to make other money now to be able to pay, and they want to make money not just from hockey, but from other sources, and bring in, bands and things and singers and, not singers, but special speakers and engagements and stuff all over the place. So that one's pretty good. And what was the other question?
The Calgary Flames week start 1-6.
Oh,
and before you get to that, Lost Trucker indicated, why are all these new arena openings with less seating? Why aren't they going over the 20,000? I'm not sure. I don't know if they're...
I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because the spacing, one of the things that, so the only place that you will find like that is the Bell Center in Montreal. They were one of the few. Number one, you don't want to have a place that gets even more difficult during bad times and have all these empty seats, and the cost for heating, the ability to actually put up, like to be able to get more seats in those areas means that you have to build higher or wider out, and they want to keep fans in closer. And there's really three large companies that are behind everything. And they're it's almost feeling like it's the subdivision. You got three builders. Uh, that's what it's kind of feeling like. But yeah, they have no intention to try to go to too large of an arena that's too cavernous. And it does affect the sound and everything like that for other stuff. So that's why they're trying to keep within the certain parameters, so that nothing really will be over the high 18,000s.
For sure. So we're going to get into the Flames. And speaking of lights going out, I guess I just got a message from one of my insiders saying that the game between the Calgary Flames and the Montreal Canadiens, well, the Saddledome had the lights go out. So very fitting that things go out, because clearly nothing is going well in Flames Nation. Quick thoughts before we wrap up the show about the Calgary Flames and the struggles they've had, and Dustin Wolf not being able to carry the team this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dustin won him that first game against Edmonton already, so that game was his win. What they have won. It's been a tough ride, but we said it right from the beginning. Like, they were good last year, but they were hidden by Dustin Wolf. People know, they've studied in the offseason. They know how to play him. They know differences. He's not a rookie anymore. Same thing, the rookie year, Stu Skinner was incredible. The next year, they understand the goalies. So you got to reinvent your game as a goalie, but they rely on him. They didn't bring in a good enough team to supplement. They have a lot of guys who are third liners. Some guys are good second, and then they might have one or I don't actually feel they currently have anybody who's a first line forward on that team, and their centers.
You're muted, Evan.
I'm muted. No, I'm not muted. No.
Looks like we've lost him for a moment. He's trying to figure out his
that's really weird. So I'm not muted at all. I don't know why that did that.
Well, we're getting to the end of the show, guys. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time at 7 p.m. We are on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on Twitter. You can follow Evan at RevanEv. You can follow me at Hockey_2. We are always connecting, communicating, chatting, all things hockey. It's been a busy couple days. Lost Trucker said no Rev is good. It sounds like a more peaceful show, right? There's nothing to, grind about. But no, we tease. And Jordan says no players are going to score more than 30 other than Coronado until they draft someone with high-end skill. I agree. They don't really have that. And I wouldn't be surprised if Nazem Kadri's name comes up in trade rumors and potentially gets moved as that second-line center.
Exactly.
Look at Toronto. Brad Treliving signed Nazem, so he has that history there. I wouldn't be surprised if he made it over there. And they do have that cap space. But yeah, I think Flames are going to end up in bottom 3, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pick high. And I feel for you, Flames Nation fans, because you got to sell tickets. You got to be able to go to the games. You got to be able to sell something, right? And hope can only go for so far. And that's a great organization that has a lot of pride and history, but it is what it is. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to another episode. We appreciate it. We are back next Wednesday. We have had fun. Evan will hopefully be back at his regular studio connecting with us. I have enjoyed hosting tonight. I appreciate it. Lost Trucker says, LOL, Kadri to the Oilers. I mean, he has played with McDavid, but I don't know. I don't know if they have the room for that. That would be a weird one. But it's been a ring-a-ding dandy, as Evan likes to say.
That's right.
And in the meantime, and in between time, keep your sticks on the ice.
On the ice.
Stay safe. We appreciate you guys. We love you. Have
Cheers,
a good
guys.
night.
Keep your stick on the ice.